Hey guys, Mike here. So what a day in the market, and boy, volatility is definitely back. And of course, we're going to go over like Palantir and Hims, which had earnings. We also have some others we're going to talk about. I'm also going to show you a chart of a stock. Somebody asked about it, and I've covered this one before. But as far as I'm concerned, it's like the #1 AI stock out there, and I'll show you the returns. There's no way in a million years, even when I was talking to members about it, like I don't know, 2 years ago, that I would have thought this thing would either double or quadruple the returns of the Mag 7 over the same time period. That's how well it has done. And so we'll get into all that, especially what happened with ES. We tracked it out. We basically wrote it out yesterday. It's kind of what happened, so we'll go over that as well. And I did want to start with this. Anytime I can pass anything on to my son to drill into him at a very young age, which that's when we mold these kids, right? And give them stuff education I didn't have, is this chart right here. I showed you one a while back, but this is another one. And it's all about your age, when you start. This is simply like starting at 25, $200 a month, 8% annual return. You can see what happens when you start at 25, 35, or 45. Imagine if they start working at some grocery store or fast food chain and you teach them to put back 50 and 60 and 75 bucks and teach them to pay themselves first. What kind of future they could have financially if they just get into that mindset of paying themselves first, start as a teenager, carry it through college, and then when you get a good paying job, obviously you can up it, and you won't have to sit here and work till you're 90 years old. Okay, so make sure you show them that chart. Now, retail traders continue to take a bigger position in the market, right? Because we know how options are. We know how they affect the market. And now we make up, retail traders, 21% of the options market. So that's a pretty big increase over 4 years here, where we were at 15%. Now we're over 1/5 of that. And I showed you how options work with Tesla and others. So yes, we can have an effect on the market. Now you look at the 52-week highs. There's Palantir, OKLO, GE, MP, AEM, AutoZone again. And you keep scrolling through here, you'll probably notice your stocks. But again, what else do you see? Whole different group of sectors in here. Okay, high beta, low beta, you name it. It is in here. I keep seeing Wayfair all the freaking time. But so that is what's happening. We'll go over a few of these stocks on this list. And the first one's going to be Palantir, which you can see, good earnings, hit $1 billion for the first quarter ever. Finally broke out of this channel right here. And you can see that indecision candle, of course, which, a lot of these have. And if it does come down, again, 164 to 168, retest that trend line. If it goes up, 182.87 is the next fib level. And if you look over the last couple years, it had a mixed bag on August, September. Last year was actually really good for it when it came to September. When you look at the RSI, again, this is the one everybody talks about with the PE ratio being through the roof. Overbought, it's been overbought for what seems like forever. That's the month right there. But, it just keeps on going, man. It's a crazy stock. Now, Hims, you can see right here, smiley face, completely reversed. It dropped like 13% in the morning, traced all the way back up, and then traced all the way back down. So we got to put the frowny face on the way down unless you're riding puts. But yeah, that's insane volatility for a stock to have in one day right there. And you can see where it bounced at, right? It came down. Again, look for these imbalances and look for levels. It came down perfectly, hit the top of that wick, came down this far imbalance, bounced to the penny, boom, up we go, just took out. And again, when you get these massive imbalances left behind, it ain't about just the imbalance. It's about coming to a level. That's liquidity that needs to be taken. It's usually what happens, right? If you look at the retrace back up, I can already look at that and just eyeball it and tell you right now, I'll guarantee you it hit a major fib level on the way back up. Oh, look, shocker. Golden pocket to the penny, up to a level, boom, rejected back down. So where is this thing going? Clearly what I'm looking at is right here to see if we're going to come back down, and this trend line is going to hold for a third time. Okay, if it ends up trying to do that tomorrow, that's what I will be looking for. If not, if that trend line breaks and we just mitigate and blow right through that imbalance and level, 46, 47 is where we'll be heading. If we can get a bounce, let's see if we can get back up to like 60, 61 bucks. And something that might affect this is Novo Nordisk, of course, came out. So they're trying to sue companies. It did not name Hims, just FYI, and trying to protect U.S. patients from non-FDA approved compounded, let me try to pronounce this, semaglutide. Semaglutide. I don't know how you say that, but anyway, however you say that. And again, they didn't name Hims directly into that, but you would assume, so they broke up the partnership, they would. Now, a company that You know, if you can look at this thing, it has to be the #1 best AI performance stock. And I would never guess this is AI, but GEV, somebody asked about it, and I said, let me just pull up the Mag 8, that's including ABGO, and then GEV for like year to date. Man, it has crushed the rest of these stocks. I mean, it has like tripled in returns year to date. You go back a year, same. I mean, look at this, almost 3x most of the Mag 7, quadrupled them, 5x them, you name it. And then, of course, remember, GE split up their companies, right? So it would be March 2024 when this came on, and you can just see 465% return. And you look at the other Mag 7, 122%, 97%. So it is 4.5x NVIDIA and all the rest of them. So, I mean, just amazing. But with this one, you know, if we reach the next fib level, gap below and balance below, if it does come down, start to show weakness, you know, I'd watch that right there to see if that comes down. It gets a bounce. That's usually kind of how this thing works. You know, I'll tell you this, it doesn't have to fill gaps because it left plenty of gaps on the way up, okay, from this one since that April low. And it's just been an absolute rocket ship. Because remember, I mean, what did utilities used to be? It used to be defensive. Well, they don't look very defensive to me. And so, you know, that's another big question. Was just healthcare and consumer staples going to be defensive? And a lot of utility stocks aren't. Sure, there's got to be some out there, right? Not to mention that is a weekly imbalance as well. So usually you're not going to see it cut through that unless something major happens. But if it does, we're just going to come down, see if it bounces off that next fib level, around like between 564, 585, somewhere in there. Then look at if that were to happen. If you draw the fibs, every one of them are going to be right there from the latest swing low. So big area, but that's if it shows weakness. The next fib level, you can see right there where it's at. If this thing decides to keep on moving, I'll throw a trend line in here for kicks. Why not? That also lines up with your fib levels as well. Assuming normally utilities to be rotated into in August, September. So we get to see how this is going to react. UNH, you might know, has got about 5% pop a day. All it was an unconfirmed rumor that Berkshire Hathaway took a stake. Anytime they take a stake in a stock, it's going to pop. Okay, now, remember, they have not released their 13Fs, so we will not know. That's what we have to wait on to confirm this. If it gets confirmed, I'm not going to be surprised if this pops. I do love this Sydney Sweeney, or whatever that woman's name is, from American Eagle. Somebody said, I had a suggestion for UNH management. Just throw her in a nursing outfit. Maybe it'll pop, because American Eagle got a big boost when they showed her in jeans or something, which is crazy to me. But you can see why this is resistance. This was the level everybody started buying back in at. That is resistance now. It hit it like a brick wall. Started selling back down some. Again, plenty of liquidity above if it wants to take it. Okay, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We'll put an anchor VWAP on this, like I did with this one, because, again, you saw the support levels, right? And then when it finally broke that, down it goes. So we'll see if that anchor VWAP is going to hold, if that is the low, or we're going to continue to go down towards that 2020, 2019 type of levels here. And we'll put both those lines in there if that is the case, because they still have plenty of bad news that can come down the pike for this one. There's no doubt about it. So we get news and investigation, how many billions they got paying fines, all that fun stuff. And not just them, kind of the whole industry, right? So yes, it can continue to go lower. And yes, there is a lot of room to the upside, okay? MP Materials came up, retest the previous all-time high. And there it went up again today. You can see the next fib level up there. And this one has just been a gap machine. Those are the big gaps left behind by the contracts. And so this is a rare stock in the case that, you know, it is one of the very few you'll come across where it's like national defense, right? I mean, that's why they're getting the government help and everything. 74, by the way, is your next fib level. If you're looking for that, look for the whole previous all-time low that comes down. But definitely an interesting stock for sure. It's the only company in America that has rare earth minerals, okay? We just got to learn to process them in this country, hopefully one day. OKLO, here's another one for you. Again, no revenue, no sales, no nothing. Earnings come out next week. It's going to be interesting to see it. This broke above this trend line right here. Hit the next fib level. Okay, it's been an amazing run on here, but no, this is not GEV, because GEV actually has, I think it's $16 billion in revenue, $1 billion in profit, you know, all that good stuff. So they've been around. They're on the S&P. But I will say GEV, you know, is a lower float stock as well, which is what allows it to push up. Same way with this one right here. If it wants to continue to go, by the way, 100 your next level. See if it holds that trend line. See if it comes back down. But when you look at this one, this is a utility stock, right? And it's sitting here with $100 million float, trades on the Russell. It's one of those mini Russell stocks that either have no sales, is not profitable, all that fun stuff. And so we'll see what they have to say on the earnings and stuff. But this is another one's being front run up because it's all about energy, right? Now, coin right here, you can see it's coming down to that April 7th Anchor VWAP. That is the years to date anchor VWAP right below it. Definitely an interesting level after a nice sell off from like 440 right there. So we'll mark this out. This is definitely an interesting bounce zone somewhere in here. If it comes down to that yearly anchor VWAP, I would be surprised if it didn't bounce. If it bounced from here, I won't be surprised either, because that is a major VWAP. And of course, you can see it's in the discount range. So I know people are picking up shares around that 300 area. We'll see if you can get down to 279, which puts it around like 284, 282, I believe it is. So watch out for this one. And then when you go into ES, you know, we had marked all this stuff out. Obviously, we hit this level right here, mitigated most of this, came into the golden pocket, sold off. Okay, as I talked about, we came up overnight, hit that, and then sold back down into this area of liquidity, this imbalance right here. You can see that's what we did. We got a really nice bounce when we hit it before reversing later on in the day. So it's just all about, you know, again, finding a level, finding where the liquidity is. Where does it want to come grab this liquidity? And so that's what we end up getting here. And you can see on the bounce up, right? I can guarantee that's a major fib level. So, yep, came up almost to the golden pocket. If I pull this all the way to the top, it's going to be the 0.5 fib. Watch. Yep, there it is. And so these retracements are like magic and everything with these fib levels. But again, you know, we'll take this, start trying to figure out where we're going to go here, because it really depends on AMD. And right now, AMD is red, even though they beat earnings. SMCI is getting taken out to the woodshed, of course. And so when we look at what could happen here, you got a lot of liquidity above, still got liquidity down below. And so if we get a pop in AMD and it starts to recover and semis start to go and NVIDIA starts to go, then yeah, we can start pushing up here to around the 64.25 area for sure. But if not, and all of a sudden you see AMD's red and NVIDIA's red and semis are starting to bring us down and the Mag 7 and Apple still looks like crap, which it does, then we're going to be heading obviously in the opposite direction and start heading down into this gap. So we'll go to regular trading hours. You can see there's a big old gap on ES right there. And so that will be where we're heading, to fill that gap, take out some of that liquidity below, take out that level right there between 62.72 and 62.72 and 62.80. Okay, so we'll just mark that out. And that's just the way it's going to be. And we should, unless something's pending, get a bounce from that area if we decide to come down that area. And I don't mean it's going to be the full reversal when we head all the way up, nothing like that. Okay, you can see clearly what is it doing. Searching out liquidity. Right now it's setting lower highs, but we hadn't gotten the lower low. Okay, so we're going to watch out for that. Now, tomorrow we have Uber, Shopify, Oscar. Boy, there's a lot of them here. Walt Disney, Six Flags. And then at the bottom you got McDonald's right there. And then in the afternoon, another high flyer is going to be AppLovin. IONQ is a high flyer. Duolingo is a high flyer. Fortinet, pretty much all these are high flyers, I guess. Elf, DraftKings. And so another loaded one with a bunch of high beta names. Uber did a good job of filling that gap and bouncing. So it's got strength heading into earnings. And then we'll have in the morning crude oil inventories and the 10-year bond auction all after the bell, guys. Okay, so keep that in mind. So anyway, I hope you had a fun day. I hope your stocks ran up on earnings and stuff. Let me know if they did or didn't. Please hit the like and subscribe button on your way out. Thank my son for the membership. Less than McDonald's combo at $7.99. Just hit the first link down in the description right there. That's everything you get with it. And I'll see you guys for another fun one tomorrow.